All right, golfers, I want to discuss tilting in the backswing today and specifically why I'm not a big fan of retaining too much flex to the back leg going back. This is something I've been getting a lot of inquiries about, so I wanted to film a quick intro video here for you all, okay? Everybody at some point in time has done the beginner drill of having your arms across your chest, sometimes with a club in your hands, and when you load in the backswing, you're trying to get the lead shoulder down, trail shoulder up. So we're trying to create an inclination to the shoulder line, which will allow us to retain posture, right? A lot of beginners tend to struggle with this and they come up and out of the shot too much. You end up seeing a super flat shoulder line and they're going to struggle with contact issues. That same rule in theory should apply to the lower half of your golf swing, your pelvic structure, your hip line. When I go back, I should see a very similar tilting pattern to the hips like I would with the shoulders. There's no reason you should only have that tilting with the upper half and not with the lower. So when you load in the backswing, to some degree, there has to be a change in knee flex, which will allow us to get the lead side lower and the trail side up and back. Now, when golfers retain too much flex to the back leg and the backswing, what tends to happen is we end up getting the pelvic structure way too flat. So you can see that my hip line right now is too much at the same height. So the stick would be parallel to the ground, arguably along the line of the lower half of the screen here. Instead, what we need to have is a nice big change in knee flex when we're going in the backswing. This will actually give us a lot of advantages. For starters, obviously, it will allow us to create a very similar tilting pattern like we had with the upper half. Now the two pieces of your body are going to be connected the right amount of tilt, okay? Secondly, what's going to happen is when you extend this trail leg a little bit, now we don't want the knee joint to lock, but we certainly want it to lose some bend. What tends to happen is this is actually going to free up this back hip to come up and back as well. So we're actually going to influence more rotation with our hips in the backswing, which will allow us to get our hand path deeper. It will allow us to retain our posture better. So many other benefits are going to come from this, especially if you're somebody who struggles with a super upright pattern. We tend to see that quite a bit with golfers who retain too much flex in the back leg. A lot of pressure is put on the legs. It actually can get really painful. You can suffer from a lot of injuries. And so what ends up happening is the golfer can't really get the hands around them because they're not opening up their hips well. They end up shooting the hands very upright. So many other problems. So yes, we want to have this tilting pattern with our shoulders. We want to do the same thing with our hips. This will influence a lot of better things. So when we load going back, lead side wants to come down and towards the ball. Trail side wants to lose a little bit of flex. And if I had this alignment stick here through my belt loops and I load, you will actually see it tilt to the ground. Now, not only this, but now because you have a better tilting pattern in the backswing and your hands are deeper and all these benefits, what's going to happen is you will likely be able to also rotate better in the downswing. If the lead side elevates too quick, that's when the golfer gets into a lot of side bend away from the target. Not only will you struggle with rotation, you're going to suffer from a lot of lower back pain as well. If you can create a better tilt in the backswing to begin with, well, your lead side is going to be lower than if you have, obviously, super flat hip structure with a lot of flex in the back leg. And because of this, now you will be able to actually have the lead side stay lower for longer in the downswing, which will allow us to retain our posture and you won't suffer from that excessive side bend and back issues. So many benefits come from this. So free up that change in knee flex. If you're starting with, let's say, 20 degrees on each side, lead side adds a little bit, it gets to maybe 30. Trail side loses a little bit, it gets to 10. That change in knee flex will create a tilt to the hip line, which will equal the shoulders, which will equal a bunch of benefits. Go for it, okay?